Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm TGH, and this is going to be a submission for marathons, exhibitions, etc. For the Minish cap any percent, Legend of Zelda Minish cap any percent. Also, just a video that I intend to upload to YouTube just to like help explain the run, so that you might get more out of watching runs live or just understanding it. Hopefully, I'll be able to go over most of what I want to here during this run, but. All right, so yeah, this run starts from a fresh file, obviously, but with a little bit of a stipulation. I'm going to be resetting the game and actually waiting a little bit for some RNG manipulation, which I'll explain once the actual opening cutscene starts. So I'm going to soft reset, which does reset the RNG. I'm going to wait for Eslo in the right-hand corner to blink 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then mash through and start the run. Okay, so what that did, and we'll get more into RNG manipulation as the run goes, because it becomes increasingly more relevant as the run increases, or as the run, progresses. But RNG is the value that determines what quote-unquote random movements happen during the run, or anything random that happens, drops, rupee drops, enemy movements, the sounds that Link makes, when he swings his sword, rolls, etc. Those are all determined by one singular RNG value, which I am actually currently manipulating. So I am manipulating a value to get a blue rupee drop in Link's house from the first pot that I throw. This is actually by far the most simple RNG manipulation in the run. It's actually like somewhat newly discovered, I think. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll 3 times in Link's house, and those 3 rolls are going to advance RNG a total of 3 times. And that's going to make it so that I get a blue rupee drop guaranteed from the bottom pot on the left there. Because the rupee route is actually fairly tight in this run. So, simple stuff. I'm playing in Japanese. Japanese has a couple of exclusive glitches in it, exclusive minor glitches, I believe, and also just straight up faster text. The way I'm mashing text is I'm holding B and swiveling the D-pad as fast as I can, and also subsequently mashing or not subsequently, but at the same time, simultaneously mashing, whatever button I can between A and R. So yeah, there is a red rupee right here, and this pot right here should drop 5 rupees. There we go. So there's a successful manipulation. The first manipulation of the run is done. So throughout the first third of this run, rolling is going to be the fastest form of movement. You can only roll in a straight line. You can't interrupt your roll. The only thing that will interrupt your roll is taking damage, for instance, which you do have iframes during your roll throughout most of your roll. But yeah, I will be basically rolling wherever I can unless I need to move diagonally, in which case sometimes it is actually faster to just move in the cardinal directions for that total diagonal movement. But for the most part, I will be rolling to move. So this opening sequence here, we're just basically following Zelda around. Zelda's going to pick the shield. Zelda's participating in a sort of prize selection there. Picking up the shield and giving it to Link as a present. Which is cool because we are about to use that right away. So a lot of the movement here is centered around basically getting Link as close to where he needs to be as possible, because he'll auto-walk to certain places as we block this Deku shot here and to progress. So for instance, right here, I'm going to be talking to the Chancellor, or I'm actually not going to be talking to the Chancellor. I'm going to be just going up to him and getting as close as I can to being directly in front of him right here in this spot, so that Link auto-walks as little as possible, because the auto-walk is very slow. So this cutscene, Vaati wins a swordsman championship, or a swordsman tournament, and his prize, I believe, is the I don't know, he has a sword as a prize. I actually honestly don't remember what's happening here. It's been so long since I've played this in English. I just know that the Picori blade shatters here and a bunch of evil spirits get released, and frankly we never see these evil spirits again. So I don't really know what's going on there, but we legitimately never see those again. At least in the 90% we don't see them, or the 90% run we don't see them again. But Zelda gets turned to stone. She will not be unreturned from stone until the very end of the game, when we rescue her. Oh, maid almost got in my way there. That maid's movements are totally random. Well, they're dependent on RNG, and by this point, there's so much RNG advancement happening in Castletown that it is impossible to manipulate past there, as we just try and mash text as optimally as possible here. So we just got our sword, and we got a map of the of Hyrule, basically. And so our next destination is going to be Deepwood Shrine, the first dungeon. So basically, the goal of this run is to get all 4 elements: the earth element, fire element, wind element, or water element and wind element, specifically in that order. But as you can see, I'm just trying to roll as optimally as possible in the first frame I can each time. I use the tree there a little bit to nudge myself. Nudging is actually pretty useful to sort of correct myself if I need a little bit of correcting for my rolls. Yeah, I was not going to be able to to roll past that Octo there. All right, there we go. Now we meet Ezla, which is going to be our companion, and in my opinion, the best Legend of Zelda companion of anybody. And Ezla's getting attacked by some Octoroks here. We just got to get rid of them. And so what's funny here is Ezla's going to try and follow us around, but he's very slow. So he's got the brilliant idea of well, why don't I just, I am a hat after all, right? So why don't I just do this? Why don't I just get on your head? Smart, right? Okay, and now we have the main sort of gimmick of the game. This game is called the Minish Cap, at least in English it is. But we are about to become Minish Link. Very, very tiny Link. So we can use these stumps, these portals, to basically change to Minish size at different points of the run and help us solve puzzles, and sometimes we even do some combat as a Minish, although we really never use this sword swipe at all. Like this tiny Link sword swipe. It's usually like this. We usually fight enemies that are normally very tiny but are our size. As a Minish. Right now we're Minish, but we're playing as if we are normal Link, so But yeah, there are spots, for instance, like this, that are only accessible as Minish Link. I think now's a good time to talk about the way flags work in this game. This game loves to operate with flags. So in order for us to get the Jabbernut, which lets us communicate with these Minish, we have to talk to that guy first. I think it's either that guy or the warden. I think it's just that guy, actually. And that lets us get this. So now that we have the Jabbernut, we can actually understand. They don't actually speak, you know, the same language that we speak, so. In order to understand them, we need to grab the Jabbernut. And then we talk to the elder of the village, this guy right here. Which is going to let us access Deepwood Shrine. And there we go, he just moves out of our way. So you might have noticed we can roll as a Minish, but it's not nearly as, like, relatively effective as rolling as normal size Link is. Not the best RNG here, but yeah, the slugs can move in your way here. There is going to be a lot of reacting to RNG in this run, and hopefully not dying to enemies in Deepwood Shrine. Honestly, in my opinion, Deepwood Shrine, maybe besides for the last dungeon, Deepwood Shrine is the easiest dungeon to die in. Because you only have 3 hearts, and it is just a lot of reacting to enemy RNG, and a lot of times you just take damage to, you know, sometimes it is faster to take damage. So in order to sort of unlock this barrel and let it spin like we need it to, we need to press these switches. Yeah, I'm just playing that kind of safe there. Just don't want to take much more damage than I want to, or than I need to. Also, these mushrooms are basically just hold them to fling you across water or across gaps. So something also worthy to note here, you notice I walked into that trigger with Eslo. It actually loses you about a second to roll into those triggers. So I don't want to roll into an Eslo dialogue trigger if I can help it. Oh, I was gonna use that particular roll there to explain nudging and how it can benefit you, but that's a bad example because I failed it badly. Oh, that's not what you want. I was about a pixel too high there. Here's a really good example of a room that sometimes you just can't help but take damage in. Because you don't want to stop to kill these slugs. So basically I just damage boost past that. Using the end of my roll's iframes to basically just like damage boost myself there. Here we have a Moldoza room where that wasn't the worst RNG I've ever seen, but they could have been a little bit more cooperative. I ignored that heart. Let's see if it comes back to haunt me. Hopefully it will not. Upcoming is the first mini-boss of the run. That was a really rude rollabite. First mini-boss of the run is Matterpillar. This mini-boss, frankly, is one of my least favorite. So let's see how it goes. Yeah, he's being really shy. He's being very shy. Wow. Yeah, sometimes he can just, like, continue to move away from you, and you just can't get to his nose. Alright, it turned towards me there, so. Alright, so here you have the Gust Jar. The Gust Jar has a couple of different functions. You just saw one of them right there. We sucked up that spider web to get rid of it. And later on, actually very soon, we're going to use the Gust Jar to, after we suck up this other one here, we're going to use the Gust Jar to actually do some movement with this lily pad. Like this. This part's really tricky to do well. Yeah, let's see. It's not only is the lily pad movement really strange and like sort of sluggish, but these pestos, these guys are called pestos, they very easily get in your way. And I'm just gonna make sure that guy's gone. Oh, oops. I mean, I didn't mean to pick up that pot, but if it means the pesto's gone, then that's fine. So the same button you use to roll is the same button you use to pick up things. That would be the R button. So notice right there, I actually, I blew the gust jar there, like, horizontally. That gave me a little bit of, or perpendicular, rather than, like, in the direction that I'm going, or opposite direction I'm going. That gave me a little bit of a speed boost. That is relevant in one other part of the run. Aside from right there. Alright, so upcoming is the boss of Deepwood Shrine, Green Chew. So Green Chew is actually just a normal-sized chew, but we're Minish right now. We are Minish Link, so it's kind of a fun idea. It's a fun, like, it's a really fun game design idea here for just a normal chew to be a boss, but you are tiny, so it's giant compared to you. I think that's really cool, personally. But the way we fight this boss is in 3 phases. All 3 phases have the same exact idea, but the chew will do slightly different things in each phase. So the objective, though, is to suck up the base of the chew with the gust jar while trying your best to avoid damage, like that. And he'll topple 3 times, but it'll always fall in the direction where he topples first. So if you'll notice, like, when I get this cycle here, he went right first, so he's gonna fall to the right. Each cycle takes, or each phase rather, takes 5 hits to advance the phase. So here you can either charge me, or he can bounce, and he's gonna bounce. That's the worst RNG. Oh well. That's fine. We handled it well. And 4 hits here, and I'm going to stand as close to the middle of the room as I can. That is pretty perfect, actually. And that's it. Because, yeah, Link auto-walks. Well, he auto-walked a pixel down there. But that is, I believe, no slower than being right on the pixel, so that's cool. And there's our Earth element. So that's element number 1. This run, by the way, does have its fair share of glitches as we go on. Like, midway through Cave of Flames is where this run really starts to take off. And we start seeing some of the really weird stuff that this run has to offer. Ever since this game was last run in a GDQ, which was SGDQ 2023, if I'm not mistaken, by Myth, this run has received a little bit of a boost. It's received about a minute's worth of time save from one trick in particular. Octo Clip has a different setup now and a different set of requisites, or rather one less requisite. You don't need to get a bottle anymore. You don't need to get an extra bottle and have an extra fairy anymore. And here we have bombs. Bombs are, you know, just like any other Zelda game, they let us blow things up, including walls and rocks with cracks in them, like that. There are some quirks we can use to speed things up with bombs that I'll go into when we actually get there. But yeah, Octo Clip is different now. It's a lot easier, and it's a minute faster. So Or actually, it's not, I wouldn't say it's easier, but it is less punishing to fail, that's for sure. It used to be it would cost you a minute plus to fail it, and now it costs you about 9-10 seconds, which is nice. Okay, so this is going to teach us how kinstones work. So there are NPCs throughout the game which prompt you to fuse kinstones with them in order to reveal secrets throughout the world. We're going to do that a few times later, but we're not going to do it here. We're going to save and quit instead because it's faster. Okay, so here we're going to learn the spin technique. We can actually leave the village, like, there's a guard up in the northwest that prevents you from leaving the village that way until you learn this technique, but we do surpass him with a glitch that saves a second. But we do want spin for later. It's actually not even really spin that we want. It's the ability to hold out your sword to clone yourself is what we want. So I utilize a safe tile there because for whatever reason, the path there is actually not considered a safe tile. So I use the tile next to that path to set a safe tile, and then I drowned myself to teleport back to that safe tile, and I gave myself just enough time. I just laid a bomb by accident. Yeah, that might be kind of bad, but... Okay, so here we are in Mount Crenel. Mount Crenel is quite a bit of an RNG fest here. But I was able to kill that that tech type there to get out of my way, which is a little faster. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I didn't pick up that bomb right away. Okay, yeah. All right, so we've already wasted 2 bombs. That's not good. Okay, so we picked up that bottle there. That's actually a required bottle. We need that bottle to water the seeds, and there is green water here, which lets us grow green seeds as well. So we pick up that green bottle. These roll bites are actually, well, they were behaving until then. Oh, that was that tech type was very unfortunately placed. All right, so I'm in a position right now where I can't waste any more bombs. In fact, I might farm bombs in the grip ring cave where you get the grip ring. I might farm bombs there because I really don't want to run out. The bomb route is pretty tight here, and honestly, the fact that I just accidentally laid a bomb while trying to mash text is really unfortunate. And then failing to pick up the other one was also really unfortunate, but I think we'll manage here. All right, so now in addition to this green water, we need a green seed. This big thing, well, we're just small. It's not big, but we're just small. But, you know, tiny links can carry 50 times their weight in whatever, right? That is how it works. Okay, so upcoming, I'm gonna grab a mushroom here with the gust jar, but I'm gonna do it from a different level. I'm gonna do it from down here. That's not a glitch, technically. Not that it would matter in this run if it were, but yeah, that's not a glitch. That's just taking advantage of the way mushrooms work. Mushrooms just kind of ignore layers. I'll get into layers more later. I'll try to explain what layers become a lot more relevant later on. All right, so that's a very aggressive bomb drop right there. That is fine. That Peahat can get in your way quite easily. Okay, as long as I don't waste this last bomb, I should be fine. But hopefully I won't. That's fine. Okay, so I actually have like a nice bit of health here. Hopefully this rock wall won't steal it away. These rocks that fall down here kind of just, they are very inconsiderate. And there's not really a lot you can do on this wall to get out of the way. You can climb to the side really fast, but it's still slow, and it's also not extremely effective. They were okay. I only hit once. That's fine. All right, so hopefully I don't get... Okay, we're good. Didn't get screwed by enemy movement there. Time for rock pushing. I like this part, though. I actually kind of like this part because of the callback to Link to the Past. Like, once it starts raining, you get this nice, like, music that, you know, sort of a remix of the rain theme from Link to the Past, like the opening, not the opening cutscene, but you know, where you're walking to the castle. I like this part a lot. I like this callback. Even if it is during a, you know, kind of a slow part. There's no way to skip this, unfortunately. At least not that we know of. So you might have noticed when I was pushing those rocks, by the way, I was kind of like it almost looked like I might have been sliding on a rock to push it. I'm taking advantage of the way that push timers work, or push timer count works. So basically I'm pushing up against like the side of it to increment the push counter, because like once you start pushing something, a frame timer starts to count down. And once it reaches 0, or a certain amount, I don't know if it goes up or down. I want to say it goes down, but once it reaches, you know, if it counts down, say it reaches 0, it starts pushing, right? So like, I'm going to do it right here, and you're going to see it. I'm going to push this wall and then move to the left. It's just basically a slightly faster way to push some things if you need to move to the side. Because that push counter is still counting down even when I'm moving diagonally. Alright, here we have Malari's Mines. So right here, we're actually going to drop off the sword. We did get a sword, by the way, from our uncle, actually, who is a swordsmith. Right at the beginning of the game, we got like a broken sword, or no, we didn't get a broken sword. We got a sword, which actually I believe became our sword. And we picked up the broken sword from the king, which we are going to have fixed and fused into the white sword once we actually finish this dungeon. Also, yeah, I did skip that split there. So I have no bombs here. This might be a little shaky. We'll see how this works out. Okay, this guy's sandwiching himself. That's fine. Perfect. That could have been a lot worse. Yeah, if I have no bombs there, that's a little shaky sometimes, but it worked out pretty well. Just trying to shield those two spinies, like, as close to each other as possible with the shields. So Cave of Flames gets pretty broken about halfway through, which is basically our first major glitch of the run. Like, I guess the guard skip was a minor glitch, but we're about to see a pretty major glitch that takes use of something called angle retention. So angle retention, this game does have angles. Normally it only has 4 angles. It's supposed to only have 4 angles, basically up, down, left, and right? Which are visually represented by the way Link is facing. However, there is data for 8 angles. So you can take advantage of this, and you can actually get all 8 angles to work using holes. Actually using holes and using a Firebar, which I'll go into later. But here we're going to take advantage of holes. So basically, if you jump diagonally out of a hole, you basically have a diagonal angle, according to the game's code. Like, you have a diagonal angle, but it's not visually represented. It'll still look like Link is facing sideways, but you can maintain that diagonal momentum, or excuse me, diagonal angle to... Oh, that was awkward. You can use that diagonal angle to push or pull things actually diagonally, if you maintain it. So it's actually in this room that we're going to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a diagonal angle here. I'm going to get a downright diagonal angle using a hole. Maintain it with my sword, because when you have your sword held out, you maintain your angle automatically. And also when I'm rolling, I maintain my angle automatically. So I'm going to use my sword and some rolls, and I'm pulling this thing diagonally. This looks really weird, but I'm doing this for a reason. I'm going to push it as well onto the transitionary tile between this room and the next. And what that's done is that's actually destroyed that tile, essentially. It made it so that I can just roll out of bounds. And hopefully we did this right. There we go. Perfect. So I just skipped a lot of the dungeon. And the pause was just to snap the camera. The pause is actually not necessary. Ooh. Oh, no. Okay. I was talking, so I couldn't quite time this correctly. This is bad. There we go. Oh, come on. Yeah, this is not how this fight's supposed to go. These things are really annoying if you don't do this correctly. Okay, there we go. God, that... There is a quick kill for that, but I was talking, so I couldn't quite time the one of my rolls correctly, and I messed it up. This is why we have commentators during marathons. I'm doing my best here. Okay, so we're actually gonna do that again, by the way. We're gonna do angle retention again. To clip out of bounds this time, actually. Okay, so we're gonna suck up this roll about here. We're gonna put it right in the wall. And that guy is essentially gonna help us clip out. Squeeze past that one. So we're doing angle retention again. We're gonna do it twice here, actually. Once there to get the thing out, and once to pull it into the wall there. And now I have upright angle retention, and once I grab that, it's just going to shove me out of bounds. And the damage boost is actually what got us completely out of bounds there. We need this fairy for later. And by later, I mean directly after this dungeon, like is when we need the fairy. All right, so here's Gyorg. Gyorg also has 3 phases. Most bosses in this game have 3 phases. In fact, I think all of them do, come to think of it. I didn't really talk about the Cane of Pachi. The Cane of Pachi just flips things upside down. It has another purpose as well. If you use it on a hole, you can basically use that hole. You can prime that hole to like launch you upwards, and it's pretty cool. We use that later for a glitch too. I'll explain that when we get to it. Hopefully, I'll be able to. Too slow. So there on the second cycle, it's a little faster to have him face straight up. And in a similar vein, on the final phase, it's actually a little faster to have him face straight down. But that's a little bit less consistent because he can just kind of do whatever here on this third phase. He can like shoot fire like kind of wherever he wants. Yes, he just like fired it to the left, but I'm gonna go down here. Okay, he's facing me, so that's good. So we will get that. We will get that time save. A little bit of a time save. That fade to white and fade back right there is just a little faster when he's facing straight down. But that is Gyorg. Also, just realized, don't look at my splits, but I actually have Gyorg spelled wrong on my splits. Don't look at that. Split very late for that. Okay, so immediately after getting the fire element here, I'm gonna go grab the white sword that's been fixed at Malari's Mines, and then I'm gonna move right into the next major glitch in this run called Crenel Clip. So, there are a few things that work together to make Crenel Clip work. One of them is called Bottle Glitch. So Bottle Glitch basically gives me invincibility, and the way it works is I'm going to try and dump the fairy that I have. Right? I picked up that fairy for a reason. I'm going to dump the fairy that I have, but I'm going to interrupt the dumping of the fairy by reading a sign. So I'm going to read this sign that's just right here. And what that's going to do is that's going to give me invincibility. So now I can just walk as long as I don't roll at all. Or climb on a wall, which is more important. Nothing's gonna hurt me at all here. And I can use that. And remember I was talking a little earlier about push counters. I'm manipulating my push counter here, using my sword to maintain that push counter, so that when that rock beetle lands on me, I just clip out of bounds. So now I'm out of bounds on Mount Crenel, and I'm gonna use this for another pretty major sequence break here, because as soon as you enter this area, you're supposed to have the red sword when you enter this area. Like, you're supposed to have the red sword in order to even access the area in the first place. And we read that sign to advance a flag for the Boots quest to start. But what we've done is we've essentially just skipped like a huge cutscene. Because I guess the game checks for the red sword, and if you don't have it, it doesn't play the cutscene. It's the cutscene, it's essentially the cutscene where Vaati kills the king. But since we don't have the red sword, the game never actually plays that cutscene. So yeah, pretty big time save. In order to get this quest to start here, you can either talk to the sign, or you can go all the way to Caster Wilds, which is just slower. Also, just adding another flag here. So that check mark you saw on the map is where the mushroom is. We're going to use the mushroom to wake up the shoemaker here to get our boots, our Pegasus boots. And Pegasus boots are what allows us to traverse Caster Wilds really at all. just getting this wind crest for later. Those will be warp points later. Here I didn't talk about this earlier. That's called a roll lift right there. A roll lift is when so essentially what I'm doing is I'm laying a bomb and rolling 2 frames exactly after. It's a frame perfect trick that saves about 42 frames if I do it right. And by about, I mean exactly. I don't know why I said about. It saves 42 frames. Because when you roll immediately, the game counts the bomb that you laid as having automatically been thrown, or having immediately been thrown. And when you pick up a bomb and throw it in this game, it explodes a little faster than if you just placed it. Okay, so while I'm doing this quest to go get the mushroom and get the boots subsequently, I think now's a good time to talk about the next couple of segments, actually. Because this run is about to get really hard, really fast. So there's a lot of RNG manipulation that's going to be going on. Remember, I was talking about how RNG advances early on in the run. And every enemy movement, every roll, every sword slash, and actually coming up, which is about to be relevant, every dash that I do with boots. All advance RNG a certain amount. So essentially what I'm going to be doing, at one point in this run, we do need the boomerang to perform some other glitchy shenanigans. So what I'm going to do, and what the boomerang requires is for you to fuse with the 4 Tingle Bros to fuse kinstones. So we need to RNG manipulate the kinstones. And we use Caster Wild to do that. Excuse me, Postman. Wow. At least I didn't talk to him. We use Caster Wild to do this. Directly after I get the bow, I'm going to be doing a fairly long RNG manipulation into a trick called Peahat Clip, which takes advantage, or rather, takes advantage of a Peahat, as the trick suggests, that we need to RNG manipulate for in order to even work, in order to get him to even spawn in the right place for us to be able to grab him. We use this Peahat to actually clip us out of bounds and take advantage of the way layers work in this game. So basically there's layer 1. The layer that I'm on is layer 1 right now, right? I'm still on layer 1, even though I have, or now I'm on layer 2. Okay, well, a bad example. I was transitioning layers a bunch there. But layer 1 is essentially the ground. Layer 2 is where that bridge was. You saw that bridge? Layer 3 is basically a transitionary layer. But if you can bypass that layer in particular, layer 3, if you can bypass that layer, you can just walk out of bounds, essentially. And we use the Peahat to sort of like shove us away, or shove us out of bounds, in order to bypass that transitionary layer. As we get the bow here. So starting right now, I'm actually going to be fairly silent because I'm going to be RNG manipulating a bunch of stuff here and then performing Peahat Clip. So I'm going to be RNG manipulating the 3 kinstones. Hopefully, right here, there's 1. Rolling at a specific time. There's 2. There's 3. Rupee drop, perfect. Roll, dash, slash twice, roll, roll. Peahat should be right there. He is. So now we use this Peahat. We're going to shove this Peahat over here. Being very careful to not kill it with the Gust Jar, by the way. I almost did. Get it right in the corner there. That looks good. And we can actually just place it right there. And now we're out of bounds. Because we never transitioned layers. And so we use that to bypass this whole section. Until we get to this screen, we just walk up right into Fortress of Winds. But we're not done yet. because we're going to save and quit here to reset RNG, because RNG does reset on soft resets, which is very useful. This entire dungeon up to the boss is RNG manipulated, and also just gets kind of destroyed by glitches. So everything I'm doing right now, every roll, every movement has a purpose in order to influence the RNG the way I want to. So this area is very precise here. I'm doing something here called lever clip. So the way the Armos moved right there was RNG manipulated in order to sandwich us in between the two Armos and let me pull that lever. That saves like so much time. I don't even know how much that saves, but like it saves us going all the way over to become a Minish. That green kinstone is also used to fuse with the Tingle Bros. Also, I noted that I got an extra sparkle there, so I don't roll into this room. And we're not done yet, by the way. So, I want to RNG manipulate to save a couple seconds. I want to RNG manipulate for a red kinstone drop on the dark nut that I'm about to fight. So, 1, 2, 3. Every dust dash advances RNG by 4, including an extra roll to advance it by 13. Pressing my boots button there to do something called bow canceling as well. So 4 slashes plus a roll. There's my red kinstone. I'm positive that's the right one. So basically, if you press your boots button while you're in a bow animation, why am I pausing there? It cancels the bow animation if you tap it really quickly. Whoops. So there are mole mitts. Mole mitts allow us to dig through these, like, walls. We won't be digging through any of these, though. First time we'll be using this is on the boss. So we're still in RNG manipulation. Roll far enough to the right to trigger that Stalfos to jump out. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. Throw the bomb from a specific point there. Roll immediately, roll down, and clip through there. That's Armos Clip. Not to be confused with lever clip. Do something called portal items and mess it up. Okay, cool. Alright. How do I... Nope. Okay, alright. Okay, I'm gonna do this again. Because at this point, I am low on bombs. Talking and playing this game is very hard. Especially when I'm trying to go over everything. But basically, after I do everything there, after I do the Armos clip, I'm doing something called portal items. Portal items is essentially me interrupting me using an item by getting onto the portal. Ooh, okay. All right, I gotta do this manually now, which is fine. Nah. Come on down. All right, that's fine. Just mash to get in there. Okay. All right, so I'm interrupting me getting onto the portal, or rather interrupting me. I think that's fine. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Using a bomb as well after doing portal items to clip me out of bounds. Jumping down right in front of the boss door, and here we are. That easy. Not really. Especially not while yapping constantly. But here we have Mazaal. Mazaal is basically the Godan of this game, if you played Wind Waker. Zelda really loves their, or you know, Bongo Bongo, if you're more of an Ocarina of Time fan. It really loves their face plus 2-hand bosses. So basically 2 sub-phases every phase. One where you shoot the eyes and destroy the hands, and one where you climb inside the face and destroy the pillars. So now I know on this one it won't appear in the same place as like the lower left or the lower right rather than it just did. So I'm gonna go left here first. because it will never, it can still appear on the same side, but it'll never be the same pillar twice in a row. Once again, utilizing bow canceling here with the boots to get those shots off a little quicker. I could have gotten a squeeze in there, but I failed it. Whoops. Okay, last phase, so I'm going to go right-hand side now. And cool. All right. Not bad RNG otherwise. Okay, so you've seen some broken stuff up until now. But we're about to get the most broken item in the game. The Ocarina. And pretty honestly, pretty fast, we're going to see the effects of this. Because the Ocarina is like the... I'm pretty sure this is like the oldest glitch in this game that's been used for speedruns, is Ocarina glitch. So here's our first Tingle Bro, by the way. This whole section is going to be fusing with Tingle Bros in order to get the boomerang. And I'll go over why later on. But the third Tingle Bro is going to be the most interesting one. Because in order to fuse with the third Tingle Bro normally... I failed that. I'm gonna need to talk to him again. There we go. In order to fuse with the third Tingle Bro normally, you need the red sword, right? To clone yourself, to push a block out of the way inside a cave. But we don't have the red sword, and we really don't feel like going to the sanctuary to, you know, make that extra trip, as I'm gonna damage down here to a half a heart for reasons. We really don't feel like going to get that red sword. So the thing I'm about to do saves 30 seconds. I'm going to be taking advantage of a bunch of glitches at once that are going to be like the first time we've seen them throughout the run. Door Ocarina glitch, which is basically opening up this door by dying and having a fairy revive us, and opening the door on the same frame. Using that door to perform Ocarina glitch by playing the Ocarina and entering the door on the same frame, and then doing something called portal item storage, or no, sorry, portal storage, where we jump on a portal that I just opened up. I jump on that portal up there, and it's gonna warp me, or rather, sort of push me towards coordinate 0, 0. So there we go, there's Ocarina glitch. And now I'm gonna go up here. The game thinks I'm still playing the Ocarina in the cutscene. Jumping on that portal gravitates me to coordinate 0, 0. I play the Ocarina to get out of a softlock state and then hold left to jump up onto that cliff without going to get the red sword at all. Whew, okay, so that was a lot of stuff. That was a ton of stuff at once. But basically, Ocarina glitch is going to be very, very relevant pretty much hereafter. There are a couple different stages of Ocarina glitches, or Ocarina glitch, as we fuse our Redkin Stone this time, actually to open up our warp to the back of Palace of Winds, or the back side of the sky. We're going to use that later, in conjunction with Ocarina glitch to enter Palace of Winds. We need another fairy to do that again, by the way, so we are going to grab this fairy here. That damage was intentional. Because I do need to damage down again to do the same thing again at the lake house door. Alright, so here's our last Tingle Bro that we're fusing with. From here on... we can go get the boomerang. And then immediately go right into another Ocarina glitch. So, Ocarina glitch, stage 1, everything freezes, right? Like in tier 1, I'll call it tier 1. In tier 1, Ocarina glitch, everything freezes because the game thinks you're still playing the Ocarina, essentially. when you're not, and you have control over Link, but everything else is frozen. So like you're essentially still in that cutscene, right? As such, the game does not check for the state of the tile that Link is walking on. So we can use this to skip the flippers and walk on water to get to Temple of Droplets. Tier 2, we're actually going to see inside Temple of Droplets, and that's going to let me avoid transition of layers, sort of like I did with Peahat Clip. But instead, we're just going to use a staircase. And we're going to use that to go out of bounds in order to skip a very large portion of Temple of Droplets. And then we're going to use this item here, the boomerang, to skip essentially the rest. First, we damage down. Good example of how this game just does not have any iframes. Down to half a heart. Okay, so here we go. We're going to use a bomb here, do the same thing. To open this door, like that. Do Ocarina glitch, and walk on water. So we can't get out of this state again until we play the Ocarina again, or transition screens. But that's just Ocarina glitch stage 2, or tier 2. Which is brought on by transitioning screens. Okay, so here we are in Temple of Droplets. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go right up to the nearest stairway and perform Ocarina glitch on that stairway. And then come back to the main room and use the nearest, there we go. Use the nearest, well, I guess that's an actual stairway. I don't know. This thing right here. There we go. That. We use that to transition layers. And go here. This room is done pretty as normal. Okay, so this is our big key, right? So here's the boomerang's time to shine. So I'm about to do something called a boss door clip with the boomerang. So when you throw the boomerang, the magical boomerang has a specific quirk about it, right? You can control it while it's being thrown. But if you control it while it's being thrown and open the boss door, the game won't actually transition you to the next room, and you have control of Link out of bounds, essentially, and you can use that to go basically wherever in the dungeon. Unfortunately, we do need the lantern to kill Octo. We do need the lantern. So this is why we're here. And Octo is a whole other thing. This is Blue Chew. Blue Chew operates a lot like Green Chew did in Deepwood Shrine, except it has these periods where it is basically electrifying Link. It is electric. It'll electrocute Link if you touch it. So you just kind of have to wait for that to go away before you can suck up the base. So upcoming is the newer form of Octo Clip that I was talking about a little bit earlier. I believe this was discovered like about midway through last year, 2024. Also, if I'm lucky here, I can stand here and get a double spin. Got it, nice. Just to speed that up a little bit. So, Octo Clip. It's a sub-pixel dependent trick. It's a sub-pixel dependent frame perfect trick. The subpixel part is like, the subpixel dependent part is like fine as long as you do specific movements to actually like get yourself in position for the clip. But the frame perfect part is the hard one. I'm gonna grab that heart. So we're gonna push this pot all the way down to the bottom left of the room. Oh boy. That might be an extra RNG roll. I'm also going to manipulate Octo after this if I can maybe help it. But here we go. We're going to tuck ourselves in this corner, use the Gust Jar to get ourselves in a position here. Turn and get it first try. Nice. All right, that's actually huge. And I think we're fine too. I think we're fine on RNG because this fight is manipulated. But if you take too long to get Octo Clip, the RNG manipulation kind of dies. So the objective here is to get what's called a zero ink fight. There is an attack that Octo can do on the final phase here that will cost you like 30 seconds, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I can tell by the way the rocks fall there how many times I need to roll to advance RNG, so I need to roll 5 times there. So I'm looking at the way the rocks fall, and this is just kind of scripted movement here, because Octo always does the same thing here. And so I will be moving a specific way here. I'll be rolling 4 times over here, 2 times down, light and tail on fire, and rolling 3 times. So now I'm looking at the rocks again. I like that pattern. That's 8 rolls. So I didn't get hit and all the rocks fell to the right, which means I need to roll 8 times in order to guarantee a zero ink fight. And here's me just getting as close to the middle of the room as I can so that Link auto walks as little as possible towards the water element once it spawns. There we go. That's Temple of Droplets. Not glitchy at all. Not even close. Okay, so now that we have essentially 3 elements that we have not used, to upgrade our... Actually, well, we have two elements that we haven't used to upgrade our sword. We're gonna go do multiple upgrades at once. At the Sanctuary. So this is how you upgrade your sword, and also upgrading your sword does let you clone more of yourself. It lets you create more clone copies of yourself. I swear we'll be cloning at some point in this run. I promise. It's kind of a main mechanic of the game, but we haven't really done it yet because we haven't needed to. But we will be doing it right here for the first time. Before we make our way towards the Palace of Winds. So what we're going to be doing in order to enter Palace of Winds, remember the red kinstone that I fused with the guy in Castletown? This is where that becomes relevant. So the warp that was created near Link's house is exactly where I'm going to be going next, but first I'm going to actually save and quit here, which might seem weird. But I'm saving and quitting because now that I have the red sword, the game wants me to do that cloning sequence and then clone myself again to leave and come back to get the blue sword. But saving and quitting just kind of saves us that time and serves the same purpose. So now we can upgrade again. So we get both the red sword and the blue sword in one visit here. And the blue sword is required for us to really do anything in Palace of Winds, unfortunately, because there's a block that requires 2 extra Link clones to push. Which is unfortunate, because if we could skip that block, we could skip this sanctuary, actually. We could skip this sanctuary visit. Whoops. So, the back way to Palace of Winds is actually blocked off by a couple of NPCs. But the nice thing is that we don't have to pay any attention to those NPCs if we do Ocarina Glitch. Because Ocarina Glitch lets us pass right through them. So advancing here is as easy as this. Just, excuse me. Pardon me. Let me just sneak on through you here. All right. Okay, so now we're here at Palace of Winds. So that is obviously not how you're supposed to enter this place, but we don't really care. Okay, Palace of Winds is, in my opinion, the most fun dungeon in this game. It wasn't always that way. Okay. Oh, he did block that somehow. Wow. Also, this is the most difficult room in Palace of Winds. There's just a lot that can go wrong in that room, but that was fine, I guess. This place also gets destroyed. The last 2 dungeons, the last 3, the last 4, 5, actually, dungeons get destroyed by glitches. You know, this first bit here is played pretty much as intended, but it's not going to stay that way. I don't mind damage boosting here since I'm going to get a health refill later. Alright, so this fight, by placing and throwing bombs in specific ways, I can speed up this fight considerably. There we go. Ooh, nice extra bomb drops. I mean, I don't really need that, but I'm gonna grab it since this is marathon safety, I guess. Like, I don't know. I could mess up the bomb cannon room in Dark Hyrule Castle like 8 times. That little full jump there. By the way, we have the Rock's Cape now, which I didn't really talk about, or I haven't mentioned. That lets us jump. We can actually jump now. We can jump and glide as well. The full jump in that room was just to get us a bit of a setup to land on that platform, which we're not supposed to. I'm doing a sub-pixel setup right now, actually, to do something called Stairclip, because this is sub-pixel dependent again. So I'm just going to dash straight to the right, and there is a little gap in the wall on the stairwell right there that you can go through, and now we can just ignore layers, ignore walls, and just go here, which is really nice. Also, this is called Wirbelhop right here, so this requires angle retention, which we use the sword to keep. And if you come out of that hole diagonally, the game doesn't really know how to prepare for that happening. So there's just, again, you just ignore the layers that you're supposed to abide by there. And you can go out of bounds again. You might also notice that when I'm jumping from clouds, I'm actually jumping from, like, not the top cloud, like the game kind of expects you to do. What I'm doing instead is, because it's not actually, like, here, I'll sort of demonstrate it here. It's not actually going up to the top cloud that matters. It's just a transition trigger on the top of the screen. So if I just jump towards that, it serves the same purpose, and it's much faster. Alright. So, this dungeon is going to end pretty soon, actually. And I know I have... actually, I might just grab the Gyorg heart container. Actually, no, this is fine. I'll grab this. If, you know, the Stalfos wants to let me. There we go. That was odd. Whoops. That's fine. Yep. So it ends with a boss door clip, just like Temple of Droplets. So just like we did in Temple of Droplets. And we can use this boss door clip to just go all the way straight to the boss. So ordinarily, there's a huge part of a dungeon, past that boss door, but we don't do any of it. We just skip right to Gyorg Pair. So Gyorg Pair, we need to clone ourselves to destroy these eyes that are about to pop up here. There are a couple of patterns that I can actually just clone myself that work for every single pattern of eyes that pop up here. There we go. Yep. The objective is to get double spins on these blue cycles here. The objective here is just to bait the shots in order for you to hit these eyes as soon as possible. That damage is fine, hopefully. Nice. Oh, that's... Okay, maybe I'll get the heart container. Maybe. Ugh. Oh. This boss can go very wrong if you're not careful. Oh, that was close. Nice. Okay, I got a pattern there that let me just spin to hit them all in one spin, which is very nice. It's a little precise positioning, but it gets the job done. And it's a lot faster than cloning yourself. When the eyes are all together like that, there are actually a couple things you can do to hit them all at once. You can actually do them with a single slash if you want, but when I'm already in the process of holding out my sword to clone myself, like a spin is the way to do that. I am going to grab this heart container for safety. DHC can and will go wrong. Sometimes, so... which, speaking of, that's the last thing we have to do, is just rush Dark Hyrule Castle, now that we have all the elements. Well, first we have to do this. This fight here, with the Moblins, you know, this encounter with Vaati is supposed to happen directly after Cave of Flames, after you get the red sword for the first time. But since this is the first time we're ever in this area with the red sword, it just happens now, and there's actually no way to skip this, unfortunately. That was kind of unfortunate. By the way, you can soft lock if you climb back in that ladder at the right time, which I have definitely never done on world record pace before. Never. Never happened. If anybody asks. So we get a little backstory here of how Eslo actually came to be the hat. Turns out it's just a spell cast on him by Vaati, which was, or Vaati was basically, he gained essentially evil powers from that cap. I promise I'll brush up on my lore before I run in any actual events. It's been a long time since I've played this in English, and the specifics are a little lost on me, but not important at the moment. What is important is we are about to enter Dark Hyrule Castle. So this place is about to get taken over by Vaati. But not without some lore drop first. Don't worry, I'll spare you. So, Dark Hyrule Castle gets annihilated, essentially. It's still very hard, but if done correctly, this dungeon is very impressive looking. We clip out of bounds a lot. Once via a stair clip, actually at the very beginning, we do something called the stair clip, which I did in Palace of Winds, actually. You saw a stair clip. Sub-pixel dependent, but the setup is a lot harder for this one because there's a moblin right there. And also, it's just hard to manage sometimes. And then immediately after that, segment, I'm going to use a bomb to do a room that requires clones to do normally. So there's a room with 4 cannons that shoot down at you, and you're supposed to clone yourself having 4 links on the floor to hit all 4 of them at the same time back at the cannons. We're going to use a bomb instead and some precise positioning to hit all 4 at once instead. That, in my opinion, is one of the harder rooms in the game to pull off, especially even under pressure. Like it's hard to do when you're on pace, just because it's finicky. But and then the periods after that are we essentially do Ocarina Glitch and just clip out of bounds everywhere. But before any of that, I'm actually going to do something called a cutscene walk. So this particular sequence right here, I'm actually going to stand, there's a 2-pixel window I can stand right here, where I can free the Chancellor and just walk down into the Eslo trigger right there. And that lets me move around during the Chancellor's, preparation to speak, and it saves about 8 seconds, actually. Swag dash. Alright, so here we go. Here's the stair clip. I'm going to try to manipulate my sub-pixels here. Moblin's going up. Oh, that's really nice if I can get the position. Nice. I'll take that all day. It took me a little bit to move a pixel right, but... now, this right here, that's actually dependent on whether or not you're up against, a little block that's right there. A little invisible block that's in the wall. Which is why you saw me slash up to sort of maintain my position. Up against that block, whatever you want to call it. It's whatever your heart desires it to be. It's invisible. It doesn't really... All right, here we go. This is that room. And we got it. Nice. Okay. So yeah, it might have looked simple enough. It's impressive looking, but it's very finicky. It can go wrong. It can go wrong in a couple different ways, actually. Okay, those are very friendly moblins. Wow. They aren't usually that friendly. Whoops. Okay, from this point on, I'm going to be doing a lot of Ocarina Glitch stuff. There we go. All right, so this is a really good showcase of what Ocarina Glitch Tier 2 does. So I essentially have Ocarina Glitch active right now. It doesn't really look like it, but as soon as I get up onto this level here and then go down, I can just walk through everything. Or walk through almost everything. I can't walk through the wall that was immediately just to my left, but as soon as I jump down off the top of that door, I am now out of OG. But yeah, we skip so much of this dungeon doing this. It's actually incredible. We play about a third of the dungeon. Give or take. All right, starting here, this is actually manipulation. That's a failed OG. There we go. Luckily, failing Ocarina Glitch does not mess up manipulation at all, because it doesn't roll any RNG. That's fine. Being very careful to not bonk there on the transition, which you can do if you're not careful. All right, so I'm going to take note of the movement patterns of those Gibdos. Up, right means we are +1 on RNG, so I need to save a roll somewhere. In other words, just advance RNG one less time. And I know exactly where I'm going to do that. Come on. There we go. Those jumps are weird, but you need to do them because the door on the other side is shut. I need to do it again here as well. But you'll notice when I'm in this room here that these ball and chains are just going to gravitate towards each other and allow me to kill them very quickly. That's part of the manipulation, but we're still going. So as long as I roll the correct amount of times in each room, or like... boomerang, hello, there we go. Also, Ocarina Glitch Stage 2 lets you just walk on... not ground. For lack of much better terminology. This fight can be tricky. Good. Okay, so we're still on proper RNG here. So the RNG manipulation will culminate into a specific room that I'm doing after the red dark nut. If everything goes well, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get angle retention off of a Firebar in order for me to push a block up left, which you're obviously not supposed to be able to do in the next room. So I'm going to stand in a specific spot in that room after I do this fight here. Oh, he charged me quick. That was close. Okay, I was prepared for it, though. Roll into this room. I'm going to roll over here. All these Stalfos are going to culminate towards that pillar. They are very interested in that pillar. I'm going to bait that attack, stand there, fire an arrow, and now I have angle retention up left. So I'm going to maintain that angle and push that block straight up left like that. That is very difficult to do without manipulating that room in particular. So that saves about 3 seconds. So from there, right into another manipulation, by the way. Right into another one, because this is by far the longest one in the game. So if everything goes well, this manipulation will last all the way through the end of Vaati 2, the second phase of Vaati. Because we are about to enter the final boss. But we manipulate the Keaton room, the Dark Nuts, Vaati 1, Vaati 2, and if I'm lucky, this is sort of still in development, but if I'm lucky... Oh, I didn't split for Enter DHC, whoops. If I'm lucky, I can manipulate basically the first arm of Vaati 3, but nothing further than that, because at that point, entering Minish portals roll RNG every frame for a moment of time, so... Okay, so that room went well. Okay, that shell drop is good. Perfect. We want to see a heart drop there. Perfect. That's how we know we're still on it. So, drops in this game are at least partially dependent on your inventory, how many rupees you have and how many hearts you have. Ironically enough, that heart will only drop if you have more than pinch health. In other words, more than like beeping health, more than just a couple hearts, which is kind of cruelly ironic. Okay, here we go. Vaati 1. So every sword slash, every roll is important here. Slash 4 times. But if I miss a slash, the manipulation is basically over. Slash 3 times, so far so good. As soon as Vaati stops shaking, I can Gust Jar it. So Gust Jar particles roll RNG every frame too, but if I roll into him, or if I walk into him, I can control the amount of frames that happens for. Okay, so the Manip has been carried into Vaati 2. Bow canceling with boots is very important here. And doing so without kicking up dust with your boots can be a little tricky. And that would also ruin the Manip. I had to wait until he went to the right there to slash. That dash there was important. I waited for that. Whoa! Okay, that's not supposed to happen. Alright, it's fine. I get carried for long enough. But I'm hoping that I can end this fight fairly quickly from here. On around. Oh yeah, you're fine. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I would be really happy with that in a marathon run, being able to carry it that far anyway. But yeah, it got carried. You know, I wouldn't be happy with that if I lost that much time in like a PB attempt. But who cares? Who cares right now? I would honestly be thrilled with that in a marathon setting. So we are all good. We are all good. So here we go. Zelda is finally freed from her stone. But we're not done yet. Escape sequence plus Vaati Phase 3 coming up. Phase 3, once we get there, is just going to be... How do I describe this? Okay, so there's a phase where he's, like, swinging his arms around, and he'll try to shove his arm through the floor and up to attack us. Like, up, back through the floor. We're going to use the Cane of Pachi to facilitate this fight. We're going to stun the arm with the Cane of Pachi and then go inside it to... or go inside it while Minish to destroy the eyeballs inside. Like so. 6, 7, 8. They take 8 hits to kill. We want to find the eye, by the way, that is looking towards us. That's how we know that that's a correct eye. So for this section here, I actually like to... it's going to be dark here, but I like to equip Boomerang along with Lantern so I can see a little better. And also... hello? Hello? There we go. So that I can stun that particular eye. Alright, from here on, it's just cloning myself and hitting the all the eyes back at him. I gotta stand in a kind of precise spot here. See how he's all the way to the side? That is why I want Link to be one of the middle clones. Or in the middle of the clones rather than on the side. Oh, that should be fine. Alright, so time is going to be on this next one. I only need to hit Vaati twice to advance the cycle. Thankfully, I can use the rest of the time to clone myself, because if I'm not directly in front of these eyes, he can and will shoot something else at me, which I don't want. And time. And that's the run. That's Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap, any percent. I hope you enjoyed this marathon submission. I hope you learned something. I hope that my explanations were adequate. Of course, in a marathon, I would hopefully have a commentator to help me with these, with some of these discussions, explanations, etc., definitions, how exactly things work, because you know, I'm like okay at talking while I'm playing, but it would definitely be a much better experience with a commentator. So, but yeah, yeah, I appreciate y'all watching this. Thanks for sticking around for the whole thing. And that's it. Thanks for your consideration as well in advance for the event. So I will see y'all hopefully there. If not, I'll see you around. And thanks again for the consideration. I will see y'all later. Enjoy the credits.